The real reason you're still not happy, despite having it all. Why the life you worked so hard to build is secretly making you miserable. And what to do about it. The most successful people you know are living a lie. And they don't even know it. For decades, they've been sold a psychological con game so sophisticated that even the victims defend it. The emptiness you feel despite having everything isn't a personal failure. It's the predictable outcome of believing humanity's most profitable myth. In 1978, psychologist Philip Brickman conducted what may be the most important experiment in human psychology, one that would shatter every assumption about success and happiness. He studied 3 groups of people. Recent lottery winners who had just become millionaires, people who had suffered terrible accidents that left them paralyzed, and regular folks living ordinary lives. The question was simple: who was happiest? The results broke every assumption about human happiness. The lottery winners, people who had literally won the jackpot of life, were no happier than ordinary people living paycheck to paycheck. In some measures, they were actually less happy than people who had nothing. But here's the part that will haunt you. The accident victims, people who had lost the use of their legs, were almost as happy as the lottery winners. Let that sink in. People who could never walk again were nearly as content as people who never had to work again. This study revealed a psychological truth so disturbing that most people refuse to believe it. External circumstances have almost no correlation with internal happiness. None. And if you're reading this with your dream job, perfect relationship, and 6-figure salary, wondering why you still feel empty inside, you're about to understand why. The happiness industrial complex is lying to you and making billions doing it. They tell you happiness is the goal, that once you achieve X, acquire Y, or become Z, you'll finally be happy. But here S, what they do on Teddy. They need you to stay unhappy to keep buying their products. Think about it. If their advice worked, you'd buy one book, implement it, become happy, and never need them again. But that's not what happens, is it? Instead, you buy book after book, course after course, seminar after seminar, always chasing that next insight that will finally fix you. You're not a customer. You're an addict, and happiness is your drug. The self-help industry has created what I call solution junkies. People addicted to the feeling of being about to solve their problems, not solving them, because solving them would end the addiction. Every time you read another 10 ways to be happy article, you get a tiny hit of dopamine from the possibility of change. But you never change. You just get better at consuming change. Why? Happiness isn't a destination. It's not even a worthwhile goal. It's a byproduct, like sweat from exercise or smoke from fire. The moment you chase it directly, it vanishes like trying to catch your own shadow. But there's an even darker layer to this that nobody talks about. The happiness industry has convinced you that your natural emotional range is pathological, that feeling sad, anxious, frustrated, or empty means something is wrong with you, that you need to be fixed. But what if those feelings aren't symptoms of a problem? What if they're symptoms of being human in an inhuman world? What if your unhappiness despite success isn't a bug in your programming? It's the only sane response to an insane system. Why success makes you miserable. Most people think successful people who are unhappy are just ungrateful or spoiled. That's like saying someone with depression should just think positive thoughts. The real reason success makes you miserable has nothing to do with gratitude. It has everything to do with how your brain literally rewires itself every time you achieve something you wanted. Scientists call it hedonic adaptation. But primera, KL. The success curse. Your brain treats every achievement like a drug tolerance. The same accomplishment that once gave you a high now barely registers. When it doesn't, your brain doesn't just return to baseline. It drops below baseline. This is why successful people often experience what I call victory depression. A mysterious sadness that hits right after achieving something they worked years to accomplish. Your brain literally punishes you for succeeding by making you feel worse than before you started. This process is cumulative. The more you achieve, the more your brain expects, and the less satisfied you feel with any single accomplishment. The mental matrix is keeping you trapped. Most people don't realize. They relive inside what I call the mental matrix, a series of invisible belief systems that control how they think, feel, and act without them even knowing it. These aren't your thoughts. They're viruses in your mental software, planted there by parents, schools, society, and the media. And like any virus, they replicate, spread, and take over your entire system. Here are the most dangerous programs running in your head right now. Gives the achievement program. Your worth equals achievements. This program runs constantly in the background, measuring your value against your output. It's why you can't relax, why vacations feel guilty, why you work even when you're sick. This program has convinced you that you are what you do, not who you are. Gives the future happiness program. You'll be happy when ... This is perhaps the most insidious program because it steals your present for a future that never comes. It keeps moving the goalposts of happiness just out of reach. When you get the promotion, it says you need the corner office. When you get the corner office, it says you need your own company. Gives the comparison program. Your happiness depends on being better than others. This program scans your environment constantly, looking for people to measure yourself against. It's why social media makes you feel terrible, despite knowing everyone posts their highlight reel. This program makes sure you can never be satisfied because there's always someone doing better. Gives this scarcity program. There's not enough time, money, love, success to go around. The scarcity program makes you wealthy, but still feeling poor. You think these programs are helping you, but they're parasites feeding off your life force. The counterintuitive path to fulfillment. The reason you're not fulfilled despite having everything is because you have too much, not too little. But I'm not just talking about your overflowing closet or cluttered garage. I'm talking about something far more dangerous. Mental and emotional clutter. You have too many identities. You'll be the successful entrepreneur and the perfect parent and the fitness enthusiast and the social justice warrior and the wise mentor. Each identity demands energy, attention, and authenticity you don't have. You respread so thin across so many versions of yourself that you've lost track of who you are. Options. The paradox of choice isn't just academic theory. It's the invisible killer of your joy. When you can afford anything, you can't choose anything without wondering about all the things you're missing out on. Should you vacation in Bali or invest in crypto? Should you focus on your career or your relationship? Every choice becomes torture because every choice eliminates infinite other possibilities. Obligations. Success doesn't free you from obligations. It multiplies them exponentially. Now you have board meetings and charity galas and networking events and family expectations and social responsibilities. Your calendar looks like a game of Tetris, played by a saint. Expectations. The more you achieve, the more people expect from you, and the more you expect from yourself. You can't just show up anymore. You have to perform. You can't have an off day. You have to be on all the time. You can't be human. You have to be superhuman. But here's the insight that changed everything for me. Subtraction isn't about having less. It's about being more. When you subtract the unnecessary identities, you become more authentically yourself. When you subtract the endless options, you become more decisive and confident in your choices. When you subtract the meaningless obligations, you become more present for the things that matter. The ancient philosophers understood this. Here's what happens in your brain when you have unlimited options. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making, literally gets exhausted. Scientists call this decision fatigue, but it's more like decision death. Every choice you make depletes your mental energy for every subsequent choice. This is why you can make brilliant strategic decisions at work in the morning, but and decide what to have for dinner at night. But successful people face a version of this that's exponentially worse. Life decision fatigue. When you have the resources to do anything, go anywhere, be anyone, every moment becomes a choice about how to spend your finite time on Earth. Should you work on your passion project or spend time with your kids? Should you travel the world or build your business? Should you pursue meaning or money? Each choice represents not just what you're choosing, but what you're not choosing. Economists call this opportunity cost, but psychologists call it choice regret. The haunting feeling that you might be living the wrong life. This is why your grandmother, who had 3 career options and married her high school sweetheart, might have been happier than you with your unlimited options. Her constraints weren't limitations. They were liberations from the tyranny of choice, the choices that seem most important. Where to live, what to do for work, who to marry, matter far less than you think. Studies show that people adapt to almost any circumstances within about 2 years. What matters isn't making the perfect choice. What matters is fully committing to the choice you make. But unlimited options prevent full commitment. There's always another option whispering in your ear. What if you chose wrong? What if something better is out there? This is why successful people often live in a state of chronic FOMO, a fear of missing out, disguised as ambition. Every choice feels simultaneously like an opportunity and a loss. The solution isn't to eliminate all choices. It's to artificially constrain them. To choose your limitations before they choose you. Addressing the root cause, your success has become your prison, and you're both the guard and the prisoner. When you make it, you don't just acquire things. You acquire an identity. You become the successful one. The person who has it all together. The one everyone looks up to. The inspiration. And once you have that identity, something insidious happens. You can't be human anymore. You can't show weakness because that would shatter the illusion. You can't admit you're struggling because that would disappoint people. You can't say, I do want to know, or I am lost, or I am scared, because that would undermine your credibility. So you keep performing, keep pretending, keep wearing the mask of someone who's got it all figured out. But here's what nobody tells you about masks. They don't just hide your true face from others. They hide it from yourself. After years of performing success, you forget who you are underneath the performance. The mask becomes your face. The role becomes your identity. The character becomes your prison. The truth is, you're none of these layers. Just think. What if you stripped all those titles, names, designations, relationship labels of father, mother, etc.? That's the answer of who you are. Why nothing feels important anymore. It often means you have everything except the one thing that matters. Meaning, you can have money, status, comfort, security, recognition, and respect. But if your life lacks meaning, you'll feel hollow, no matter what you achieve. You'll feel like you're living someone else's life, going through the motions of a script you never agreed to read. But meaning isn't something you find like a treasure hidden in a cave. Meaning is something you create through your choices, relationships, and contributions. And here's the catch. You can't create meaning while you're busy accumulating. Meaning is the purpose of the soul. Goals of the achievements of the body. Soul and body are two different entities. Most of us are working on the physical aspect. Creation requires space, depth, presence, time to think and feel and connect and contribute. But the very activities that lead to having it all, constant striving, networking, optimizing, achieving, are incompatible with the activities that create meaning. You've been so busy climbing the ladder of success that you never stop to ask, is this ladder leaning against the right wall? Most successful people discover, around age 40, that they've spent decades optimizing for metrics that don't matter to them. They've been playing someone else's game by someone else's rules, for someone else's approval. They've built their entire life around impressing people they don't even like, with achievements that don't fulfill them. This is why so many successful people report feeling like frauds or imposters. It's not imposter syndrome, it's authentic self-awareness. They are imposters, living a life that isn't authentically theirs. But meaning isn't just about big philosophical questions. Meaning is found in the small moments of solitude, soul connection, contribution, and creation that make you feel most alive. The reason is those moments remind you who you are, what's your purpose on earth, and what truly matters. When was the last time you felt truly alive? Not happy, not excited, not satisfied. Alive. I bet it wasn't when you got a promotion or closed a deal or reached a goal. I bet it was when you were fully present to something or someone that mattered to you. Maybe it was a trip in nature. Maybe it was sitting by a window and watching the world as a spectator. Maybe it was teaching your kid to ride a bike. Maybe it was having a deep, introspective sit. Maybe it was just letting go. Those moments of aliveness are breadcrumbs, leading you toward your authentic meaning. But you've been too busy achieving to follow the trail.